Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Subarnalal Bajracharya, Honorable former Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Hridayaratna Bajracharya, respected today's speaker, Professor Dr. Bimalendra Kumar, respected Director of Lumbini Research Center of LBU, Professor Dr. Gitu Giri, respected Controller of Examination, Mr. Indra Prasad Kafli, dear Campus Chief of Central Campus of Lumbini Buddhist University, Chief of LBU Library, Venerable Bhikkhus, Bhikkhunis, dear professors, scholars, researchers from my home country and foreign countries, my dear colleagues, LBU staffs and students. Today is November 4th, 2023, and we are assembled here to participate in the second series of lecture on Buddhism for everyday life, insights from Abhidhamma tradition. The topic of today's lecture series is the role of mindfulness in solving the problem of contemporary world. On behalf of organizer of this talk series, I would like to welcome you all in this thought-provoking lecture event. Dear participants, at the very outset, I would like to present a brief introduction of this lecture series. These lecture series are aimed at introducing the teachings of Buddha that are preserved in the Abhidhamma canonical text and commentaries, and encouraging the common people for applying those teachings in addressing the day-to-day problems. Basically, we students, researchers, and scholars of Buddhism are familiar with the Sutta and Vinaya teachings. However, we are not much accustomed to the profound teachings of the Abhidhamma, which are actually the basis of all the teachings in the Sutta and the Vinaya. Actually, the teachings in the Abhidhamma are the core teachings of the Buddha that are scientifically analyzed and categorically defined as the dharmas. While we see in the Theravada tradition, the 7 Abhidhamma canonical texts like Dhammasangini, Vibhanga, Dhatukatha, Puggal Panyati, Yamaka, and Patthāna were formulated during the course of the time of 3rd century BC to the 1st or 2nd century AD. The commentary and sub-commentaries written on those canonical texts from the 6th century AD and afterwards, and from many scholars from Buddhaghosa of the 6th century AD and the modern Lady Sayadaw and Dhammānanda Kusami in the 20th century. Similarly, while we talk about Sanskrit-based Abhidhamma text, we remember Abhidharma Kosa by Vasubandhu of the 4th century AD and many other scholars like Asanga, Kamalsila, Santa Rakshita, and many others reverend names who paint their scholarly insight in the course of time. All the profound teachings that are preserved in these texts, canonical and commentaries, are, in other words, can be understood as the Buddhist psychology, and they are the basis of the Buddhist meditation techniques that are found in the various Buddhist traditions. They are the higher teachings on ultimate realities, the Paramatha dharmas. With this understanding, these lectures have been organized to acquaint with the students, researchers, and scholars of Buddhist studies the basics of the Buddhist psychology, such as realities of mind, mental factors, emotions, and material realities. More than this philosophical interpretation, these lecture series are aimed at encouraging the students, researchers, and scholars, and even the general people realizing their day-to-day problems in the light of the Abhidharma philosophical and psychological ground, and live their meaningful and quality life. With this understanding, This lecture series will cover the subject matters such as understanding the core principle of Abhidharma, meditation and mindfulness in Abhidharma, ethics and compassion in everyday life, the nature of mind and mental factors, practical applications of Abhidharma techniques, and such many more other topics. So now, without making any further delay, I would like to hand over this forum to our today's speaker. However, before requesting him to speak, I briefly introduce about the organizer of this talk program, the Indian Chair of Cultural Relations, ICCR, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, Chair of Buddhist Studies in Lumini Buddhist. ICCR, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Chair of Buddhist Studies, is established in Lumini Buddhist University with the objective of revealing Buddhist philosophy, its practices and culture that was originally spread in Nepal, India, and other countries of Indian subcontinent. There had been an MOU between ICCR head office of New Delhi and Lumbini Buddhist University in last May 2022 to establish the chair in Lumbini Buddhist University in the name of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Chair, according to the MOU that was held 2 years before between Right Honorable Prime Minister from India, Mr. Narendra Modi, and Right Honorable Minister from Nepal, Mr. Sirva Deva. The current ICCR B.R. Ambedkar Chair is led by Professor Dr. Bimalendra Kumar, who is the Professor of Pali and Buddhist Studies at Banaras Hindu University. He is a former head of the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies of that university as well. So today's speaker, Professor Bimalendra Kumar, has been teaching for more than 3 decades in various universities and colleges in India, basically in the area of Pali, Theravada Buddhism, Abhidharma philosophy, and Tibetan Buddhism. Currently, he has been associated with Lumbini Buddhist University since last 2 months, chairing the ICCR Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar Chair of Buddhist Studies in Nepal. So with this brief introduction about the program, so I would kindly invite our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Hridayaratna Vajracharya, who actually had keen interest in organizing such event while he was a Vice Chancellor in this university. I would like to request him for his few words, Professor Dr. Hridayaratna Vajracharya. Hriday sir.
Namaste and good morning. I'm really elated to be participating in this program. Actually, this is a very important step in establishing our Lumbini Buddhist University in the line of discourses on peace, Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, and way of life, contributing to the spread of peace, harmony, and well-wish Buddha Dharma Sangha among all. I'm very much thankful to the Government of India, ICCR, for materializing this kind of arrangement. Thanks also to Professor Bimalendra Kumar for his kind participation in the Lumbini Buddhist University as the ICCR chairperson, and also conducting this lecture series. We look forward to spreading this message to all, and eventually, as envisaged in the World Buddhist Summit, in achieving that status of Lumbini as a fountain of peace, as a fountain of Buddhism, and a fountain of health and well-being for all. So I very much hope that this series will attract more and more people, and very much thankful to the organizing team. I understand Arindra Kumarji, the former campus chief of, no, I mean present campus chief of, when I say former, he was the campus chief of the central campus also, and now he is caretaking the football campus also, and I look forward to more success of this seminar. And I see Professor Dr. Subramanian also present, the present Vice Chancellor. I am very much convinced that he has been very much keen in establishing Lumini Buddhist University as the main core center for discourses, academic discourses in Buddhism, and this is going to be a very important aspect of his mission. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Namaste. Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Hridayaratna Bajracharya, who is the former Vice Chancellor of Lumbini Buddhist University. Now I would like to request our current Vice Chancellor of Lumbini Buddhist University, Professor Dr. Subramanian Bajracharya, for his remarks in this discussion, in this keynote speaking session.
Okay, thank you very much. Namaste to everyone. Actually, whatever we'll be talking about the Abhidhamma and all these things will not be of that value in front of Professor Vimalendra Kumar, because he is the main authority to discuss in this particular area. Therefore, this is his second lecture, and he had committed that he will give this sort of lecture every week for 1 year. Means by that time, we will be well versed, educated with the Abhidhamma, because as everybody knows that this is one of the very difficult teaching of the Buddha, and because of its difficulties, nobody wants to study Abhidhamma, and everybody is very much interested to study the Sutta Pitaka, because in there you can have so many stories, so many practical things that you can link with. Now today's class and also the previous class, Professor Vimalendra Kumar, he is linking the teachings of Buddha in the Abhidhamma with the everyday life. Means how it is practical, how we can use in our everyday life. That is what he is going to discuss on, and that will be very helpful for we all, the listener, the participants. Therefore, without killing his time, I just want to request Professor Vimalendra Kumar to conduct his lecture, so that everybody can get the benefit of the time and understand the value of the time that we are spending this morning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, our respected Vice Chancellor. So now, without making any further delay, I would like to invite our today's key speaker, Professor Dr. Bimalendra Kumarji for his insightful lecture. After the lecture, for about an hour, we will have question and answer session as well. So I request our participants, if they have any questions, they can directly ask to our speaker after his lecture series, or they can send their questions in the chat box as well. So now, Professor Bimalendra Kumarji, for his speech on a role of mindfulness in solving the problems of contemporary world. So mindfulness we have been hearing for long, but he's talking about mindfulness in the light of Abhidhamma. Okay, let's welcome him, Professor Dr. Bimalendra Kumar, for his speech now.
Thank you, nibbāna ji. Karuna Sital Hadayam, Painyapa Jyoti Bihatmotamam, Saranamarulo Garubande, Sugatam Gati Bimuttam, Ananta Karuna Payam, Tathagatam Anuttaram, Bandami Sirsa, Buddham Dhammam Sadhu Ganam Picha. Most respected our Vice Chancellor, Professor Suvarlal Vajracharya, former Vice Chancellor, Professor Hriday Ratna Vajracharya ji, Dr. Phanindra Nipone ji, then campus chief, Central Campus, Dr. Gurung ji, Dr. Sarda Paudel, Nir Bahadur Gurung ji, then Dr. Gitu Giri ji, Bhante Bishara, and Dr. Inakshi Sengupta. He is also joining from Europe, and other persons, and most venerable bhikkhus who have joined this program, and lovers of Buddhism, as well as those who have great faith in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. I pay salutations to all of you. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to get associated with this lecture series. So it is indeed a great joy for me to continue this lecture series. And today I am going to speak on the role of mindfulness, sati, in solving some of the present problems of the contemporary world. Whenever we are talking about the contemporary world, it is nothing but it is the contemporary Buddhism. Buddhism is a psycho-ethical thought and practice, pariyatti and padipatti, which takes a being from the state of suffering to the state of eternal bliss. So pariyatti and padipatti, there are two things, that is the thought and practice. And thought is a tool to understand the teachings of the Buddha. And until unless we do not have any technique or tool to understand the teachings of the Buddha, it will be not futile to understand the teachings of the Buddha. So there is a need of practice also, that is the padipatti. And this parivatti, he gets understanding of the teachings of the Buddha. And through these techniques, we can understand the teachings of the Buddha. So whenever we are talking about the contemporary world or contemporary Buddhism, we have to apply the teachings of the Buddha in our present day society or present day problems also. So this mindfulness is one technique or one tool to understand the teachings of the Buddha, how this mindfulness has become more popular throughout the globe, and how the persons who are following this mindfulness. So I am going to discuss that how this tool as a pariyatti teachings of the Buddha can solve some of the problems of the present society. In the beginning, I will discuss that what is the mindfulness and what are the aspects, what are the kinds of the mindfulness, what are the importance of the mindfulness in the present society, and what are the things which are associated with our, and how the mindfulness, the four kinds of the mindfulness or four foundations of the mindfulness can be applied in our day-to-day life. What are the things which are aware of this, and how mindfulness can be also compared or related with our compassion, or the four kinds of Brahma Vihar also, how these mindfulness can be also related with eightfold path. I will discuss some of the points related with that. And besides these things, I will discuss that what are the 21 techniques through which our mindfulness can be understood. I will throw light on the 21 types of techniques which are available in the text of Abhidhamma as well as in commentaries also. So based upon these texts, I will throw some of the lights that how mindfulness can be applied and how it has become more popular throughout the globe. Then we will discuss that how at the globe level also it has become more popular. So I would like to share my slide through for more understanding of our lecture also. So let us so this is the topic which I am going to discuss, the role of mindfulness, sati, in solving the problems in the contemporary world. This has become one of the tool or theory that how it can be applied. It can be understood as one of the aspects of engaged Buddhism or applied Buddhism or active Buddhism. These three aspects of Buddhism have become more popular throughout the world. We are quite aware, Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a spiritual leader of Taiwan, and how he asked all the people as well as venerable monks to come out from the monastery and to apply the teachings of the Buddha in day-to-day life. And how the teachings of the Buddha can be applied in our day-to-day life, it has become. According to Thich Nhat Hanh, he has stressed more on the mindfulness, which gives the aspect to embrace, to become energetic also at the present moment also. So mindfulness is only an energy which can give us to be very active or to be aware or to be alert also at the present moment also. So he has written much of aspects related with the mindfulness. I will discuss some of the points of the Thich Nhat Hanh, as well as a spiritual leader of Buddha of Thailand, Venerable Buddha Das, and from Mahapayutto, they have also given much light that how the teachings of the Buddha, especially mindfulness, can be applied, or how it can be practiced, how satipaṭṭhāna bhāvanā can be applied in our day-to-day life. So this is the moon. So nowadays, two aspects, mindfulness as well as insight, that is the sati or vipassanā. These are the two aspects which have become more popular. I am not going to discuss about the vipassanā, in the next time I will discuss it. But mindfulness has become more popular throughout the globe, and how it has become one of the healing aspect of the teachings of the Buddha in applying our day-to-day life in the present society. And this healing process has become one of the main aspect of teachings of the Buddha also. And Buddha is also considered as a great physician. Vissako, he is in that Pali text, he is called as Vissako, that he is a great physician, that he tries to remove the suffering of the people, mainly suffering. And how this suffering can be removed, this is the main aspect, and in that way he has called as a great physician. So the teachings of the Buddha are applied in our day-to-day life. There is a Buddhadasa Bhikkhu who has also seen the development of mindfulness as well as our insight or vipassana, that this anupassanā, I will discuss that what is the anupassanā, that how the breathing in or breathing out, the cultivation of mindfulness is one of the best aspects of our mindfulness. There are 4 aspects I will discuss one by one. So this Buddhadasa Bhikkhu says that the correct and complete meaning of anupassanā-bhāvanā is to take one truth or reality of the nature and then observe, investigate, and scrutinize it within the mind with every mindfulness, with every inhalation and every exhalation. So through the breathing in, we are trying to know the nature of the reality or nature of the Dhamma, that how all things are subject to impermanence, all things are subject to suffering, and how all Dhammas are subject to soulless. So in that way, mindfulness with breathing allows us to contemplate any important natural truth while breathing in and breathing out. So Buddhadasa has also adhered the original teachings, affecting and transforming the mind, heart on the inside of life through upholding the original message of the Buddha or saying, knowing and recognizing everything, including the self and Dhamma within the matrix of Trilakkhana. So it is the mindfulness through which a person can be able to know the nature of the reality, that all things are subject to impermanence, anicca, all things are subject to suffering, dukkha, and all Dhammas are subject to soulless. So this is the aspect. Now, the main aspect, that is the path of serenity or insight. There are 2 aspects nowadays, samatha and vipassanā. Samatha is the another name of rupajhan and arupajhan. Calming down the mind is called as samatha, and vipassana is that how visualizing the nature of the reality, that all things are subject to impermanence, all things are subject to suffering, and all Dhammas are subject to soulless. This is known by our vipassana. And the main essence of the vipassana is the anupassanā. Anupassanā has 2 words, anu and passana. Anu means that which follows, and passana means visualizing the things or visualizing the nature of the reality, that all things are subject to impermanence, anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So it has nothing but it is the one of the aspect of the mindfulness, that is the smriti. Now sati has been defined in text in many ways. Buddha also says that I call mindfulness just like a doorkeeper. As a doorkeeper does not allow any undesirable person to enter into the house, in the same way, mindfulness does not allow any undesirable immoral dhammas to arise on the surface of mind. In that way, Buddha says that sati dwariko viyati badami, that I call mindfulness just like a doorkeeper. In the same way, Acharya Nagasen also defines mindfulness or sati. Acharya Nagasen in the Milinda Pahyo says that it is in the sense of reminding again and again, apilapana lakkhanati sati. That sati is reminding the moral dhammās. And Acharya Nagasen has given the simile of just like a minister who reminds the king that you have so many jewels, or you have so many treasurers, you have ministers, you have prime ministers, reminding again and again. So the king knows about what are his wealth and what are his associates. In that way, this smriti, mindfulness or sati, reminds that what are the moral dhammas, and reminding again and again. This is the sati, just like a doorkeeper. And sati also reminds a persons that what are the moral dhammas to be practiced by a person. In that way, it is called as apilapan lakkhana. Again, Acharya Nagasen gives another definition of our mindfulness, that upagahan lakkhanati sati. Upagahana means taking the things, undertaking the moral dhammas. This is called as upagahan lakkhana. Seal is the moral precepts, and it is called as one of the best moral dhammas. And besides the seal, there are other dhammas like indriyas, saddha indriya, sati indriya, samadhi indriya, briya indriya, paya indriya. There are 5 types of faculties which can be practiced by a person. So in that way, undertaking those moral dhammas, there are so many moral dhammas which are being undertaken with the help of our mindfulness. In that sense, it is called as upagahan lakkhanati sati. So there are so many definitions, but there are 2 suttas which are available in the Nikayas also, in Mahasatipaṭṭhāna Sutta of the Dik Nikaya, as well as Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya. These are giving the discourses related with the mindfulness. And what are the 4 foundations of the mindfulness? This has been discussed by our Buddha in the 2 suttas. But I am trying to summarize that how it has been interpreted in the text of Abhidhamma Pitaka and how it has been explained in the commentaries also. So again, it has been defined that mindfulness gives in understanding the moral dhammas. So in that way, it has been discussed. And if you go through the second book of Abhidhamma Pitaka, that is the Vibhanga, that is the analysis of the 4 results, Chitta, Chetasik, Rup, Nibbāna. There are 18 Vibhangas which have been discussed in the Vibhanga text. And out of the 18 Vibhangas, there is one Vibhanga that is called as Sati Vibhanga. In Sati Vibhanga, the Abhidhamma-bhāvanā, that through the method of the Abhidhamma, satipaṭṭhāna has been interpreted in a very different manner. There in Abhidhamma-bhāvanā or Sati Vibhanga, Buddha says that it is one of the aspects of Lokuttar jhanas. We are quite aware that there are 89 or 121 types of consciousness which have been divided into 4 planes of existence: Kāmāvachara Bhūmi, Rūpāvachara Bhūmi, Arūpāvachara Bhūmi, and Lokuttar Bhūmi. Under the Lokuttar Bhūmi, there are 4 Magga and 4 Phala. That is the 4 Kusala and 4 Vipaka. And how they are associated with the jhanas, that is the factors of concentrations. When these 8 types of Lokuttar Chittas are associated with the factors of concentrations, that is the 5 factors of concentrations, Vitakka, Vichara, Piti, Sukha, Ekta, Saitam, Patham jhanam, vichar piti sukha ekta sahitam tritiya jhanam, piti sukha ekta sahitam tritiya jhanam, sukha ekagta sahitam chaturtha jhanam, and upekha ekagta sahitam pancham jhanam. So in that way, when these 8 types of lokuttar chittas are associated with the 5 factors of concentrations, they become 40. And here 40, all in each chittas, there are 1000 methods which have been applied in our Abhidhamma-bhāvanā. So there are altogether 40,000 of naya or methods of analyzing the mindfulness. So in that way, we can understand that how much importance has been given to mindfulness in the Abhidhamma text also. In Pathan also, much has been discussed about the mindfulness. Again, I am coming to the 4 factors or 4 foundations of mindfulness. Buddha, in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta of Uddiyaka Nikaya, Buddha says that ekāyano ayam maggo sattānam visuddhiya dukh domanasya adhigamaya samatikamaya nibbānasya sachikaraya jadidam chattaro satipaṭṭhāna kāyanupassanā, vedanānupassanā, cittānupassanā, and dhammānupasanā. In all the teachings of the Buddha, Buddha never says that this is the path. But when he is discussing about the mindfulness, he says that this is the only path, ekāyano ayam maggo, that this is the path through which a person can remove the state of suffering and he can get a state of eternal bliss or nibbāna. So the importance which can be drawn that Buddha never says about the other theories that this is the only path. But when he is talking about this mindfulness in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta as well as Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta of Uddiyaka Nikaya, he says that this is the only path for the realization of a state of nibbāna, nibbānasya sachikaraya. So there are 4 foundations of mindfulness. Even Henapal Gunaratana, who has written Heart of Meditations, he discusses that mindfulness is the heart of concentrations or the meditations. And he has given much discussion or analysis on the satipaṭṭhāna. So there are 4 foundations of mindfulness. Here, Pathan is in the sense of presence or the foundations. Here, foundations are in the sense of pillars, that how the pillars are giving a strength for standing a house or building. In the same way, these 4 foundations of mindfulness can give a rising of the moral dhammas. So these are in a very brief manner. I am going to discuss that. First is the kāyanupassanā. Here there are 3 words in kāyanupassanā: kāya, anu, and passanā. Kāya is, that is our physical body. There are 32 parts of our body. Anu means that which follows again and again. Passanā means to visualize or to see the things. So kāyanupassanā is being awareness or being alert again and again with the 32 parts of our body regarding the movement of the parts of the body, how one has to behave with the others, what are the functions of our parts of the body. Being aware of all these are called as kāyanupassanā. That being aware to all 32 parts of our body again and again, this is called as kāyanupassanā. In the Millennium Pahyo also, we are having that how these 32 parts are subject to impermanence and they are subject to suffering also. So being aware of all these, that all 32 parts are subject to impermanence, and being aware of all the activities related with our body, this is called as kāyanupassanā. The second foundation of mindfulness is vedanānupassanā. Vedana is the feeling. Sa vedeti iti vedana. That vedana is that which is being experienced by touching of any things. Anubhavana lakhanati vedana. That vedana has the characteristics to get experienced by touching of any things. There are 5 senses: chakku, sot, ghan, jihva, and kaya. And there are 5 objects also, namely Rup, Sad, Gandh, Ras, and Fotabba. So, getting association with the 5 objects by the respective our senses, this is called as Vedana. So, through the Vedana and through the 6 senses, there are arising of the Vedana. That is why it is called as Pasopachaya Vedana, that contact with the respective objects, namely Rup, Sad, Gandh, Ras, and Fotabba. There are arising of the our Chakkha-aitan, Sota-aitan, Ghana-aitan, Jiva-aitan, and Kaya-aitan, and Dhamma-aitan. So all these are arising. So Vedana is initially 3 types: Sukha Vedana, Dukha Vedana, and Upekha Vedana. Again, Sukha Vedana is of 2 types: Somanasa Vedana and Sukha Vedana. Mental and physical pleasant feeling is called as Sukha Vedana, and only the pleasant feeling which is being experienced by our body, this is called as our Sukha Vedana. And whenever the pleasant feeling which is being experienced by body as well as mind, this is called as Somanasa Vedana. In the same manner, there are 2 types of Dukha Vedana, that is the Domanasa Vedana and Dukha Vedana. Mental and physical unpleasant feeling is called as Domanasa Vedana, and only the unpleasant feeling which is being experienced by our body, this is called as Dukha Vedana. And Upekha Vedana, that is the indifferent feeling, the feeling which is being experienced by the full persons, Murtu Janesu Upekha, this is called as Upekha Vedana. So there are 5 types of Vedana. And we have seen that how these 5 types of Vedana, they are arising based upon the 6 senses. Pasopachaya Vedana. And whenever there are feeling related with our 5 senses or 6 senses, then whenever any sense has the contact with the respective object, then there is the feeling of attachment related with that object also. And that creates attachment, and it is called as desire or trishna or tanha. So in that way, it creates the suffering also. So that is why it is called as being aware or diligent or being alert again and again related with the all 5 types of Vedana, that is the Somanasa Vedana, Sukha Vedana, Domanasa Vedana, Dukha Vedana, and Upekha Vedana. This is called as vedanānupassanā. Again, the third aspect is called as cittānupassanā. So being aware of, being alert with all 89 or 121 types of consciousness, this is called as cittānupassanā. Chitta has been given more stress in our Buddhism also. Buddha also says that Chaitana bhikkhave kambam vedami, that, oh monks, I call volition just an action. So this Chaitana is nothing but our mind. And this is the mind through which all the actions related with the physical, vocal, and mental, Chetitva kai kammam, vache kammam, mano kammam. So through the Chaitana or through the mind, all the physical, vocal, and mental actions are being performed. That is why Buddha also says that chittam ki vichittam, all the manifestations of the actions are being governed by our mind. That is why in Dhammapad, Buddha also says that mind is the forerunner of all actions, the manopavamma dhamma, manosiddha manumaya. So being aware of all 89 or 121 types of consciousness divided into 4 planes of existence, Kamavachar Bhumi, Rupavachar Bhumi, Arupavachar Bhumi, and Lokuttar Bhumi. And in another way of classification on the basis of jati or class, there are 4 divisions of all consciousness, that is the kusal, akusal, vipak, and kriya. So being aware of all these 89 types of consciousness based upon the planes of existence as well as based upon the class or jati, this is called as cittānupassanā. And the last is called as dhammānupasanā. Here dhamma is in the sense of the teachings of the Buddha. But here in the technical sense, it is called as a panch nivarnas, 4 noble truths, 8-fold path, and 7 factors of enlightenment. So being aware of all these 4 noble truths, 8-fold path, panch nivarnas, and 7 factors of enlightenment, this is called as dhammānupasanā. So these are supposed to be practiced by a yogāvacara or even an ordinary person also who is very much interested in anapanasati or being interested to do mindfulness or smriti. So all these are related or these are leading towards for getting a state of eternal bliss. Even 4 are working together, or any person can take any aspect of 4 foundations of mindfulness. So these are the 4 factors of, and how these 4 factors of mindfulness or 4 foundations of mindfulness, they became more popular in our Sarvastivāda or in Mahayana Vipul Sutras also. And in the Mahayana Bodhicharya Vipul Sutras, it in the 9th chapter, it has given more stress also. But the interpretations has been given in a different manner. I will discuss in a very brief manner. But coming to this satipaṭṭhāna, there are 3-4 factors which can be understood, that how this mindfulness can be understood. So for understanding of mindfulness, there are other factors like sampajanya, samadhi, and panya. There are 3 terms which can be understood by a person for clear understanding of mindfulness. Here there is another term which comes in sampajanya. Whenever sampajanya has been discussed in the Dhammasangani, the basic text of Abhidhamma Pitaka, it has been discussed in a sense of Dhamma Pavichaya. That Pavichaya means investigation of the Dhamma. So sampajanya is the technique or tool through which a person can know the nature of the reality. And there are other terms related with sampajanya. That sampajanya is in the sense of sati or panya also. So it is the sampajanya through which a person is able to know the nature of the arising and ceasing of any dhamma, that how the dhammas are arising and ceasing through udvayana. So this arising and ceasing of any state is being known by sampajanya. And through the sampajanya, a person is able to know that all things are subject to impermanence, all things are subject to suffering, and all dhammas are subject to soulless. So that is why it in the text it has been defined sammapakarehi anicca adihi janati iti sampajayam. That by right way, what are the things which are subject to anicca, dukkha, and anatta? One person who knows, this is called as sampajanya. And Buddha also says that samanto pakarehi pakatham vasa visesam janati iti sampajano. One who knows the things in a very special manner and in a very clear manner, this is called as sampajano. And in the text, in the Dhammasangani, it has been said that sampajano di tat katmam sampajayam. So it has been said, ya panya pajanana vichayo dhamma vichayo salakkana upalakkana. So there are 3-4 terms which have been given in the Dhammasangani, the first book of Dhamma Pitaka, that it is in the sense of vichaya, that is the investigation, Dhamma vichaya, investigation of the teachings of the Buddha. Salakkana, it is associated with the characteristics, and upalakkana, that it has the sub-characteristics to know the nature of the reality. And pachupalakkana, pandityam kosalam nipunnam vivaya upakarika bhuri medha parikarana vipassanā sampajayam sammaditthi idam buchyati sampajayam. So sampajayam is another name of sammaditthi. Sammaditthi is one of the eightfold path of the Eight Noble Path, that is the Arya Thangiko Maggo. So Sammaditthi is nothing but it is the right vision through which a person who knows the Four Noble Truth, law of dependent originations, the previous existence, past existence, and the future existence. So this is the Sampajaya. And again, it has been said by the Buddha in the text that kāyanupassanā bihati atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke avidya dhammānupasanā, that whosoever, that who visualizing the 32 parts of our body, our activities of the body, and being ardent and being mindfulness, a person who can train that mind, he can remove the dukkha and dhammānupasanā and the avidya, that is the covetousness. So these have been discussed, and again Buddha says that vedana samusarna sabbe dhamma, that through the vedana all dhammas are being eliminated, or all dhammas are being known. Now we are talking about what are the benefits of the mindfulness. We have seen that there are 4 foundations of mindfulness: kāyanupassanā, vedanānupassanā, cittānupassanā, and dhammānupasanā. And how these 4 are related with the temperament of the person concerned. There are 6 types of temperament which have been discussed in the Visuddhi Magga: rāgacharya, dosacharya, mohacharya, vitakacharya, buddhicharya. So there are 6 types of temperament of a personality. And how a yogāvacara can understand the temperament, for that there is a need of kalyana mitra. And in 3rd chapter of Visuddhi Magga, Kamarthana Gahan Nirdesa, Acharya Buddha Ghosh has given that who can be a kalyana mitra. Buddha is the best kalyana mitra. If Buddha is not available, then arhatas who have become arhat, they can be kalyana mitra. If arhatas are not available, then the yogāvacara who are in the path of anagami, sagdagami, or sotapatti, they can be kalyana mitra. And if these are not available, a person who is the nikayadhar, vinayadhar, suttadhar, matikadhar, they can be also kalyana mitra. It is the duty of a kalyana mitra who can select the temperament of the person concerned, and through the understanding the mental temperament of a person concerned, these 4 foundations of mindfulness can be selected. So here the first 2, kāyanupassanā and vedanānupassanā, these are associated with a persons who are associated with tanha, that is the desire, and they are having sluggish sluggishness in nature also. Sluggishness means they are very dull in nature. They they have the idleness. They are not diligent. In that way, kāyanupassanā and vedanānupassanā are meant to those persons who are associated with the temperament of the desires. And whenever a yogāvacara who selects this kāyanupassanā and vedanānupassanā, it becomes beneficial for them. So here, a person exerting sluggishness in his process takes kāyanupassanā in his path, and that who exerts sharply chooses the vedanānupassanā. And those who are sharp in nature, they choose vedanānupassanā. So consciousness, the former is gross in comparison to latter also. And the remaining two, cittānupassanā and vedanānupassanā, these are meant to a persons who are associated with the false views temperament. The temperament which are associated with the false views. There are false views which have been discussed in our Pali text also, and in Abhidhamma, especially text which have been discussed, that there are satsato lokoti va, asato lokoti va, antava lokoti va, anantava lokoti va. That when a person who thinks that the world is eternal, the world is not eternal, there is end of the universe, there is not the end of the universe, body and the soul are the same, body and the soul are different, Tathagata takes birth, Tathagata does not take birth, neither Tathagata takes birth, nor Tathagata does not take birth. This type of false views which are associated with the persons or the yogāvacara, then cittānupassanā and dhammānupasanā are the path for those persons. And if they are interested for getting the purifications, that is the visuddhi, they can adopt these two. Again, in the Sumangal Vilasani, the commentary of Dikhanikaya, Acharya Buddha Ghosa has given that Samathi Nikayasya Mandasya Akichena Adhigamatasa Pathamam satipaṭṭhāna visuddhi maggo. That this is the path of the purifications through the fourfold of mindfulness, that is the patham kāyanupassanā, that samathayānikasya mandasya akichena, that who are dull, mand means which, who are having the dull in nature, and they can adopt it, and tikhassa olarikassa, those who are having the sharp nature, they can take vedanānupassanā, that is the dutiyam. And again, vipassanā, those who are interested in getting the vipassanā, they can take this cittānupassanā and dhammānupasanā. So these have been given in the text also. Now we are coming to the main part of our, that how 21 techniques which have been discussed in the Pali text as well as in our Abhidhamma text also. And how there are 21 techniques which have become more popular in our Abhidhamma text. In Abhidhamma text, this that how these fourfold of mindfulness can be practiced by a yogāvacara. So, for understanding of this fourfold of mindfulness, 21 meditative techniques have been prescribed. So I will give you one by one. So if you see from the bottom, this is the body, that is the kāyanupassanā, feeling vedanānupassanā, mind, that is the cittānupassanā, and phenomena, that is the dhammānupasanā. So there are four divisions of the fourfold factors of our mindfulness. How these fourfold mindfulness can be understood through the 21 meditative technique of mindfulness. So let us discuss from the bottom, that is the body, which are having the 14. Feeling has only one, mind has only one, and phenomena, that is the dhammānupasanā, they are having 5. So we are discussing about the kāyanupassanā. Under the kāyanupassanā, first of all, we will see that there are 9 symmetries. Symmetries that if you go through the samatha, subjects of meditations, which have been discussed in the Visuddhimagga 3rd chapter, there are 40 subjects of meditations which are being prescribed by a kalyanamitra to a yogāvacara. Out of the 40 subjects of meditation or concentration, first is called as 10 asubha. 10 asubha means there are 10 objects which are not auspicious in nature. Out of the 10 types of unauspicious things, there are 9 types of symmetries also. The persons who are in the symmetries, in the persons who are dead, the dead bodies are left in the symmetries by following all these. Because we have seen that all 32 parts of our body are subject to impermanence, they are anicca. All 32 parts of our body are subject to suffering also, and all our body, they do not have any permanent entity or a permanent soul in the personality of a being. So in that way, it is better to understand that how our body is subject to impermanence by seeing all the dead bodies in the symmetries. There are 9 objects which have been prescribed. There are 10 asubha, and by following these 10 bodies, this is called as our one of the 9 asubha-bhāvanā, which have been discussed in the Visuddhimagga. Then there is a cittānupassanā. Out of the 40 subjects of meditations, there are 4, that is the pathvi, apo, tejo, vayu, cittānupassanā, analyzing the 4 mahabhutas. A man is made up of 5 mahabhuta according to Hindu traditions, but according to Buddhist traditions, the body is made up of 4 mahabhuta as well as 24 types of upadārupa. Mahabhut or basic material qualities are earth, water, fire, and air, pathvi, apo, tejo, and vayu. And this analysis of the 4 and all these 4 mahabhut and 24 types of upadārupa are subject to impermanence. That is why rupa has been defined as rupatiti rupam, that which is changing itself at every moment. Or in Dhammasangadi, it has been defined as chattaru cha mahabhuta, chatunnam cha mahabhutanam upada idam buchyati sabbam rupa. There are 4 basic material qualities, and based upon these 4 basic material qualities, there are 24 types of upadārupa, generated material qualities. So analyzing all these 4 mahabhut and 24 upadārupa, they are called as chaturdhātu-bhavatthānam, analysis of the 4 elements. Then next is the reflections of the repulsiveness, that which gives, after seeing the dead body or anything, there is a repulsive sense in our mind also. So concentrating on all these repulsive nature, and it gives that all things are subject to impermanence. So this is called as a clear reflections of the repulsiveness. Then the next is a clear comprehension. The clear comprehensions, that is to know the nature of the reality, that how the things are changing itself at every moment. And the lastly is the mindfulness on breathing. Whenever a person who is breathing in, he is trying to concentrate his mind that how the air which is going inside and which is going outside. Concentrating on the going inside and coming outside, a person tries to concentrate on this, and in that way, he tries to concentrate all the aspects of our mind also. So altogether there are, and here the next is the postures of the body. All our senses, there are 5 senses: chakku, sota, ghana, jiva, and kaya. And all the parts of the body, all the parts of the body have their own functions, how they are functioning in day-to-day life, how one has to behave with the other, how one has to speak to others also, how he has to behave with other persons in the society also. So the postures of the body are more, you can say, important in the present society. So being mindfulness, being alert, being aware of all the 32 parts of our body, this is called as kāyanupassanā. In a very brief manner, which are having the 14, you can say, technique or the tools through which kāyanupassanā can be understood. Now the feeling, that is the vedana, we have discussed that what is the vedana. That vedana, it has the characteristics of getting experienced by touching anything. And there are 5 types of vedana. That is the pleasant, sukha vedana, unpleasant, dukkha, and neutral, that is the upekha vedana. Coming to Abhidhamma traditions, there are 63 types of consciousness which are associated with the pleasant feeling. That is the somanasa vedana, which have been discussed in a very detailed manner in Dhamma Sangani and in Abhidhamma Sangaho. And unpleasant feeling, there are 3 types of chitta or consciousness which are called as unpleasant. And there are 55 types of consciousness which are called as upekha vedana, which are associated with the indifferent feeling, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And these are applicable to the lokiya and alokiya. That is the lokuttara. Lokiya, whenever we are talking about the worldly or lokiya, it is in the sense of kāmavachara, rūpāvachara, arūpāvachara. And when we are talking about the lokuttara, it is only the 4 magga, 4 phala, that is the sutapaṭṭhi, sagdagami, anagami, and arahat, 4 magga, 4 phala. So all these vedana, nupassana, that being aware with all 5 types of feeling, they are leading towards a state of eternal bliss. Now coming to the that is the cittānupassanā, that is the mind. We have seen the importance of the mind, all actions, all the 89 types of consciousness or 121 types of consciousness, they are called as an actions also. That is why chittam ti vichittam, all manifestations are being governed by our actions or by mind also. So these are only for 2 persons, ordinary persons and the higher persons. Ordinary persons means whenever we say that this is meant for the ordinary, that who are pritak-jan, ordinary persons, and higher persons, those who are in the sense of in the stage of Rūpa-jhān, Arūpa-jhān, and Lokuttar-jhān. So in that way, cittānupassanā, if you go through there are consciousness, the 89 or 121 types of consciousness, and understanding that all actions and the chittas are subject to impermanence. They are changing at every moment. That is why it is called as alambam chinteti chittam vijanati tiyatho. That all that consciousness is that which thinks of an object also. And whenever an action is being done, it is done at the present moment also. So another thought which comes, this is called as another consciousness also. So thinking that all, whenever we are talking about just now, and after the lecture is over, our new thought comes in that sense, the previous thought disappears and it is subject to impermanence also. So in that sense, it is called as all consciousness or the chittas are subject to impermanence. And these are meant for the dull and theorizer. That we have seen that one who is dull in nature, those who do not have very our sharp intelligence, or some of the persons who do not have very intelligent mind, in that sense, this is the for dull and theorizer. Both it is meant, that is the cittānupassanā is meant for all these persons. Again, now come to the next, and it is only one type of meditative technique. And lastly, that is the dhammānupasanā. Dhammānupasanā is that being aware of all the teachings of the Buddha, especially Pancha Nivarnas, Four Noble Truths, Sattva-bhāvanā, 7 factors of enlightenment. All these are related with our this. So this, if you see that 5 aggregates, then 5 hindrances, then 7 factors of awakening, and 4 noble truths. So see, Nivarnas, you might be knowing, in Nivarnas are hindrances. Nivarnas are those immoral states which put obstacle in the path of concentrations. They are 5 in number: Kāma-chand, Vyapad, Thinimidh, Udaj, Kukuch, and Vichikitsha. Kāma-chand is desire for sensual pleasure. Vyapad is a desire to harm others. Idleness related with the consciousness is called as thin, and idleness related with the psychic factors or mental factors is called as a midh. And moving of mind or consciousness from here to another place, this is called as udhach. And what should be done and what should not be done, katanukatânam sochanam, is called as a kukucham. And lastly, avidya, that is the it is in the sense of not knowing the nature of the reality, not knowing the Four Noble Truths. So these are the 5 hindrances. So through the dhammānupasanā, it can be removed by the rupa jhān and arupa jhān. In the rupa jhān, we are having the 5 factors of concentrations: vitakka, vichāra, piti, sukha, and ekaggata. So through these technique, 5 hindrances can be removed. Nivarnas are defined in the text: nivaranti paryodhyanti na chittam samadhiyutam ti nivaranam. And then 5 aggregates. A man is made up of the 5 aggregates: panch khandas, rupa khand, vedana khand, sanya khand, sankhar khand, and biyana khand. Knowing that all these 5 aggregates are subject to impermanence, and how these are subject to impermanence, understanding by the knowing dhammānupasanā, this is called as 5 aggregates. Then 7 factors of awakening. These are 7 factors of enlightenment: dhamma, vichaya, piti, sati, ekaggata. So there are 7 factors of awakening. So this dhammānupasanā is understanding the things, or it is a technique through which 7 factors of enlightenment can be practiced, and through these 7 factors of enlightenment, a person can get a state of eternal bliss. And then lastly, 4 noble truths, that dukkham ariya satyam, there is a suffering, dukh samudaya ariya satyam, there is a cause of suffering, dukh nirodham ariya satyam, there is a cessation of suffering, and dukh nirodha gamani patipada ariya satyam, there is a path which leads toward the cessation of suffering. Buddha also says that I preach only 2 things, dukkha and dukh nirodha. Dvime bhikkhave desime dukkham cha dukh nirodham cha. Understanding through this dhammānupasanā, this is called as a 4 noble truth. Understanding the 4 noble truth, the nature of the 4 noble truth, a person can practice the dhammānupasanā. Again, this has been given, that how these 4 foundations of mindfulness, kāyanupassanā, vedanānupassanā, cittānupassanā, and dhammānupasanā. And the first 2, this is the our kāyanupassanā and vedanānupassanā. These are called to the persons, or they are associated with the persons which are having sluggishness in nature, which are dull in nature, mandas, chittas, they are, and vedanānupassanā, those who are having the sharp nature of the mind, and this cittānupassanā, that how that through the cittānupassanā, this charit, that the persons who are having the temperament of the false views or theorizing type, which are making their own theories, and the meditators knows that how things are subject to impermanence. So in the text, it has been given with and without them. And the next is sados, that is the hatred to harm others. This is anuttara, this is being removed by the higher, that is the lokuttara. And then samoha, those which are associated with the ignorance, they can be removed by endowed with the samadhi or the concentrations. And those which are having the distracted nature, they can be removed by this cittānupassanā. So again, for dhammānupasanā, it is by the way of panchakhandha, charit, and panya. So these are given in that how there are 5 aggregates: Rup, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Jnana. So here in dhammānupasanā, we are having only Sanya, that is the perceptions, and Sankhara, that is the mental dispositions or mental activities, which are divided into Punya Visankhara, Apunya Visankhara, and Ananja Visankhara. So these can be related with the dhammānupasanā, and these can be understood by meditating on the dhammānupasanā, by being aware of all these things. And then in that way, a person is able to know that all dhammas are subject to soulless. That is the sabbe dhamma anatta, and a person can understand the nature of the reality. So this has been given in the text, that how this 4 foundation of mindfulness, that is the kāyanupassanā, vedanānupassanā, cittānupassanā, and dhammānupasanā, how the person can internally or externally can understand these 4 foundations of mindfulness. Now we are coming to some of the questions, that how these 4 foundations of mindfulness, especially cittānupassanā and dhammānupasanā, what are the questions which are arising to the scholars, that how do meditators contemplate other people's bodily phenomena, such as breathing in and breathing out. So those yogāvacara who are practicing, how they can contemplate with other people's physical phenomena which are happening, those who are breathing in and breathing out, how the meditators can contemplate the mental phenomena of other persons such as miscellaneous states of mind. It is through the parichitta-bhāvanā, and there are 5 factors of abhinya also. Through these abhinya can be understood that how the parichitta-bhāvanā, or knowing the consciousness of others, can be understood. So this has been given by the 4 factors of mindfulness in our body, that having investigated the body, the meditator searches for the cause of attachment to it, which is found to be pleasant feeling. We have seen that whenever we investigate our 32 parts of our body, then we can understand that how things are arising and ceasing, how the things which are 32 parts of our body are subject to impermanence. All these are changing itself at every moment. Our body is decaying, and our body, we are graying, or we are becoming old 1 minute by 1 minute. By understanding these, it can be understood. And this is through the kāyanupassanā. And again, through the vedanānupassanā, the question that who experiences feeling arises, leading to contemplation of the mind. That when everything is subject to impermanence, even Vedana is subject to impermanence, when Panchakhandhas are subject to impermanence, everything is changing. Then what is that which experiences the Vedana? There are 5 types of Vedana. Then it is said that it is through the technique of vedanānupasanā, being alert, being aware of all 5 types of Vedana, or 63 types of pleasant feeling, 3 types of unpleasant feeling, and 55 types of neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. This is called as vedanānupassanā. So thus in turn forms a basis of inquiry into the causes and conditions of the mind. In that way, when we are investigating our body as well as 5 types of Vedana, then we are also compelled to understand the arising and the ceasing, how the things are happening in our day-to-day life, how the dhammas which are coming in our day-to-day life, we are able to understand through the dhammānupasanā. Then our great spiritual leader of Myanmar, Mahasi Sayadaw, who also interprets this dhammānupasanā, that it is experienced by only direct perceptions. And Bhikkhu Yanamoli also, who has written a text in that is the translation of Visuddhimagga, path of purifications. It is said that this is being experienced by direct perceptions also. But Mahasi Sayadaw, who is the great meditator, scholar, or acharya of Myanmar, he interprets contemplating others' body as contemplating others' body by inference after having contemplated one's own mind and body. This is that by perceiving that how the persons have been given, it can be understood by one example which has been given by Acharya Nagasen in the Milinda Pahyo, that whenever there is a question that who experiences a state of eternal bliss, a person who has not attained a state of eternal bliss, how can he realize that the pleasant feeling of getting a state of eternal bliss? In that way, in Acharya Nagasen says that in the same way, whenever there is a cut of another body, of the parts of any body, we also feel suffering. that suppose a person who is whose parts of the body are bleeding, seeing the bleeding of the other persons, we are also experiencing suffering. In the same manner, those who are attaining a state of eternal bliss, nirvana, those who have become arhat, a prithak can also experience that what is the pleasant feeling of getting a state of eternal bliss. It has been explained in a very detailed manner in the 3rd chapter, Vimukti Chedan Pahiyon of Milind Pahiyo. So here also Acharya Mahasi Sayadaw says that the contemplation of other persons who are contemplating, by inference one can also contemplate that what others are observing in that way, and how the body and the mind are experiencing. By meditating, others can also understand. So internal and external, there are 2 chapters occurs in the sense of whatever there is, expressing a sense of comprehensive. Comprehensive it is in the sense of continuity, and it is in the sense of to understand the nature of the reality. So this is has been said in the Sutta part also. Again, there is a subjective experience can be seen objectively by more eyes. It can be understood that whenever there is a sense of man, that is the Seyo Aham Asmimti, I am the superior one. No one is superior than me. Everyone is inferior. Seyo Aham Asmimti. So this type of I-ness or man which arises in our mind, this is one of the aspects of Sakkaya Ditthi. That is it shows that there is a permanent entity in the personality of a being, and having false views related with this. So through the dhammānupasanā, this I-ness, because this is the I which creates attachments to the objects also, and then when there is the attachment, it creates desire also, and it creates a problem also in the society. So in that way, through the dhammānupasanā, this I-ness diminishes whenever we are having the panch nivarnas, or how the nivarnas can be removed by the dhammānupasanā, and with the 7 factors of enlightenment, these can be removed, this I-ness. So in the Sanjukta Nikaya, the importance of this satipaṭṭhāna can be understood, that Buddha says that as long as people are following this path of mindfulness, or the foundation of mindfulness, the teachings of the Buddha will not decline. It will continue. So this Buddha Dhamma, and there is a sutta which is called as a Chir Thiti Sutta. So Chir means that there will be long age of the Buddha Dhamma, as long as people are following the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta. Now we are discussing that how the 4 foundations of mindfulness, they became more popular in the Bepulli Sutras, in Madhyamik thought also. But they have been interpreted in a different manner. But they are quite relevant to our Abhidhammic thoughts also. So there are 4 factors, 4 foundations, or 4 factors of mindfulness in the 9th chapter of Bodhicharya Avatar, which have been discussed, in which Kaya Smriti Upasthan, Vedana Smriti Upasthan, Chitta Smriti Upasthan, and Dharma Smriti Upasthan. But the interpretations have been given in a different way. So here, Kaya Smriti Upasthan, that it has been said that all our body are subject to dreams. They are just like a mirage or the dream. it is not real, it is illusion also. In Madhyamika thoughts also, it is said that everything is whether mental or non-mental, all things are not real. So here, Kaya Smriti Upasthana, that since our body is a mirage, it is just like a dream, it is an illusion, one should not get associated with the parts of the body. So being aware of all these parts of our body, this is called as Kaya Smriti Upasthana. In Vedana Smriti Upasthana, it has been said that neither pleasant feeling nor unpleasant feeling, that is the suffering or the pleasure, they are real. They are not real, they are subject to impermanence. It is said that if suffering is real, then it should affect everyone, including those in a state so-called as a joy also. So the persons who are in the state of joy, they are not affected by any, you can say, suffering. So in that way, it is called that suffering is not real. So being alert or being aware of all these Vedanas, this is called as Smriti Upasthana. Chitta Smriti Upasthana, it has been said that there are two aspects. There are the mind, one aspect, and there are objects, lamentation. So our consciousness has the ability to cognize the respective object also. So this aspect, being aware of all the cognizing of the object is called as Chitta Smriti Upasthana. And in the Dharma Smriti Upasthana, it has been said that there is no any phenomena which exists truly or intrinsically at the ultimate level. All that appears which are real and not in the fact real, but like dreams, mirage, and magic illusion, because all phenomena comes into existence only when necessary causes and conditions get together. Here it is said impermanence, and there is no self-independent entity. Everything comes into existence dependent on some cause and conditions. So whatever the things which are appearing, they are subject to siege also, they are subject to destructions also. In that way, remembering or knowing all these things, that all things are subject to arising and ceasing, this is called as Dharma Smriti Upasthana. So there is a relations between our Smriti as well as, which is a part of meditations as the Abhidharma. In Myanmar, there is a tradition that Smriti or mindfulness or meditations cannot be completed without going through the Abhidharma. And there is also traditions in Myanmar that Abhidharma cannot be understood without the help of grammar also. So in that way, it has been said, there is a great scholar, Paul Harrison, who has written on the Buddhist meditations. He says that there is a great relationship between the meditations as well as Abhidharma. So Abhidharma is nothing but it is a metaphysics, knowing the relationship between mind and matter, and how these mind and matters can be understood through the help of the four foundations of mindfulness. This has been given, and this there is a text, Smriti Upasthana Sutra, which is understood as a basic text of mindfulness, which have been translated into Chinese language also, Chinese literatures also, and it is one of the part of the agamas also. Agamas are treated as one of the basic teachings of the Buddha also, just like Tipitaka in our Theravada tradition of Buddhism also. So here there is a Smriti Sadharma Smriti Upasthana Sutra, which has a close relations. And in the Vipula Sutras, we are having Dasabhumika Sutra also. In Dasabhumika Sutra, there is a great similarity between the four foundations of mindfulness. And there is a sutra in Ekuttar Agama that is called as Smriti Upasthana Sutra, which discusses also 4 types of mindfulness. So it says that how the 4 foundations of mindfulness which have been praised by the Buddha available in our Pali Tipitaka, how it has been discussed in the Abhidhamma text, and how it has been developed in one of the factor of Bipul Sutras as well as in Agam Shastra also. Now we are coming to the mindfulness and social harmony, that how this mindfulness, that is the Smriti or Sati, can be treated as a aspect of bringing social harmony. We have seen that there are some of the psychological states which creates a problem. If you go through the Abhidhamma, there are 14 types of akusala chetasikas, that is the immoral mental factors like kodha, upanaha, matsarja, issa. There are 14 types of akusala chetasikas which are creating our problem in the society. And these conflicts in the society which are coming, these are born through our mind itself. Whatever the conflicts which are coming in our mind, these are through the 14 types of, one of the 14 types of our immoral psychic factors. And these immoral psychic factors are closely associated with anusaya, that is the latent factors or dormant factors. Anusaya are those immoral states which are dormant, and whenever they find time or an opportunity, they become active also. And they are 7 in number: Kamarag, Anusaya, Padhik Anusaya, Dos Anusaya, Moha Anusaya. So there are 7 factors, anusayas, or latent factors, or the dormant factors, which are associated with our 14 types of psychological states, technically called as immoral psychic factors, that is the akusala chetasikas. The Blessed One Buddha has discussed in some of the suttas like Madhupindaka Sutta or Sakapanya Sutta or Mahadukha Khandaka Sutta, that how these psychological states which are appearing and which are creating problems in the society, and how they can be removed with the Panchasil, Rasasil or Attasil, or other factors, Vidya and Charana. So these have been discussed by detailed manner. So this mindfulness has become one of the most effective factors also. In Nibbāna Sutta, we are also having 37 factors of enlightenment. Bodhipakshiya Dhamma. If you go through the Bodhipakshiya Dhamma, there are 37 factors of enlightenment. Buddha also says that one who follows this state of eternal bliss, and these 37 factors of enlightenment, they have been divided under the 7 stages. Cattaro satipaṭṭhāna, cattaro idhipada, arya athangiko maggo. So if you see, there are, out of the 7 stages, 5 stages have the mindfulness. In the Sattabhujanga also we are having Cattaro Satipaṭṭhāna, we are having the mindfulness, Idhipada and others. There are 5 stages where the mindfulness has come. How the mindfulness even in Sila Nitesh of if a yogāvacara, he has to keep it mind with the mindfulness. Unless the mindfulness is not there, Hiri and Otappa cannot arise. Hiri is feeling social same, and Otappa is the self same. Hiri is the self-same and Ottappa is the social same. So these Hiri and Ottappa cannot arise without the presence of mindfulness. And when Hiri and Ottappa are there, then Panchasil, Attasil, and Dasasil can be practiced by a person. So this is in Sila Nirdesh also, Acharya Buddha Ghosh has said. So this mindfulness has become one of the most effective. In all the teachings of the Buddha, we are saying that how mindfulness has been given more factors, and how we are saying that in Sakapanya Sutta, Issa and Macharya, miserliness and covetousness. Issa is jealousy and Macharya is miserliness. So these are the two psychological immoral states which can be removed through our Panchasil, that Attasil, Dasasil, which have been given in Mahadukha Khandak also. It has been it has been said by the Buddha that how the Dukkha Khand, there are 8 types of sufferings which have been discussed in the Dukkha Khanda Suddha, and how these can be removed with the help of 4 foundations of mindfulness. Again, how these can be practiced. Now there is a question that how mindfulness can be practiced by a yogāvacara or a person, how it can be started. There are 2 aspects, samatha and vipassanā. We have seen samatha is the calming down of the mind, and it is being performed through the rupa jhana and arupa jhana. And this vipassanā is through our lokuttara jhanas, which can be understood. So how all types of kilesas or the defiling factors can be removed, and how the practice of the satipaṭṭhāna, what are the requisites of the mindfulness practice, how it can be developed, how it can be started. So here it is said that satipaṭṭhāna, that all the process of a repeated existence can be removed, and a person can get a state of eternal bliss, and a person can know that everything is subject to impermanence, or everything is subject to suffering, and all dhammas are subject to soulless. And even being mindful at the present moment also, the very space of the particle and ultimate happiness can be achieved also. What the meditator has realized by keeping the mere awareness can be applied to everything of this universe, whether material or non-material. Now let us discuss that what are the prerequisites of our aspects. Whenever we say that ekayano ayam maggo sattanam visuddhiya, that this is the only path for getting a state of eternal bliss. Here magga is in the sense of adhigam. Maggoti adhigam upayo. So here mag is in the sense of a path of getting a state of eternal bliss. So how satipaṭṭhāna has been said by the Buddha, that this is the only path. Buddha never says in all the teachings of the Buddha, all the suttas, where that only in the Mahasatipaṭṭhāna Sutta of the Digha, Buddha says that this is the only path. How this mental qualities which are related with our this only path. So there are some of the factors which are related with our practicing our mindfulness. The first is called as atapi, second is sampajana, and the third is called as anicca. So there are 3 aspects. Here, let us discuss one by one that how the mindfulness is called as atapi. Atapi is in the sense of ardent, it has been translated. Atapiti briyava. Briyava, briyam hi kilesanam atapan paritapan arthena paritapanati. So here, atapi is in the sense of destruction of all the defiling factors, kilesas. Kilesas are those immoral factors which darken or which are blackening our consciousness. So there are 10 types of defiling factors which are being removed by this atapi. So atapi is in the sense of a person who is associated with the virya. Virya has been defined by Acharya Nagasen as a upthamman lakhanam viryam, that it has the characteristics of giving the support. So here, atapi is in the sense of giving mental support, just like the 4 pillars of the building give support for a standing of the building. In the same way, these 4 foundations of mindfulness can give a support for arising of our moral dhammas. So here there are some of the mental qualities. Atapi is one of the mental qualities which can be, you can say, understood by the term atapi. Then sampajana, we have seen sampajanya. That sampajanya is, through the sampajanya, a person is able to know the arising and ceasing of any dhammas. And it is through the panya, a person is able to know the nature of the reality, that all things are subject to anicca, dukkha and anartha. So through the satipaṭṭhāna, or through the 4-fold foundation of mindfulness, a person is able to know the arising and ceasing of any dhammas also. And these dhammas are just like, you can say, the 3 spokes of a wheel, which gives a balance of the mind from, and it removes from the abhijja domanassa upayasa samatha. So it removes, it dispels the our covetousness, that is the desire or avidya, and domanassa, that is the consciousness associated with antipathy or to harm others. So these qualities revolve like the 3 spokes of a wheel around the central mental quality of mindfulness. The main thrust of mindfulness is to keep. There are 4 things which are related with our satipaṭṭhāna or 4-fold mindfulness. First is keep. Keep means rakhati. Rakhati is in the sense of protecting. In which sense of protecting? Protecting from the immoral dhammas. So here, keeping is in the sense of upagahana, that it is rakhati, that one who keeps rakshana, that one which protects from the immoral dhammas. So here, keeping is intended to cover both continuity and comprehensivity in satipaṭṭhāna contemplations. Here, continuity of awareness underlines the quality of joy, that is the quality of delight. So here, whenever there is a sustained awareness, there are terms which are related with our sustained mindfulness, sustained awareness. So whenever there is a continuity of our mindfulness, it gives the joy of being ardent, being energetic, being that is the upthamman lakhanam, that it has giving the support, mental support to arise the moral dhammas. So it, in that sense, it is the keeping, and there is a comprehensivity in contemplations. So this is the comprehensiveness comes up to refrain. Refrain means here panati pata berbani, adinna dana berbani, kamesu mikshachara berbani, adinna Adinna Dana Bermani. So like that, all 5 types of Panchasheel are refraining from our immoral physical, vocal, and mental actions. This is in the sense of comprehensiveness. And in that sense, it is internally or externally, ajhat and bahidda. In that way, it is in the sense of contemplating the Dhammaj. So another aspect of our mindfulness, so satipaṭṭhāna, is calming. We have seen that it is in the sense of calming down of the mind, samatha. So here satipaṭṭhāna, mindfulness, also gives the calmness of the mind, and it is in the sense of refraining of the panch nivarnas, namely kama, chanda, vyapad, thedimidh, udaj, kukuch, and vichikitcha. And to undertake satipaṭṭhāna free from desires and discontent. So here, contentment has been said by the Buddha as the best virtue. Santosam param sukham. So here, the desires and discontentment can be removed, refrained by our this satipaṭṭhāna, which is another aspect calming. So next in knowing in pajanati or pajananam, through the 4 foundations of mindfulness, a person knows the nature of the reality. He knows that all things are subject to arising and ceasing. All things are subject to impermanence, suffering, and anatta. So through these, in that sense, it has another aspect of knowing. And there is another aspect is changing, which is nothing but through the mindfulness, one can change the psychological, immoral states of mind. How the immoral psychological states can be removed through the 4-fold mindfulness. So lastly, I am coming to some of the points. That is the conclusion part. I am coming that the importance of value of mindful meditations in knowing the law of dependent resistance, cause and effect. We have seen that how the 4 foundations of mindfulness can give a state of that how things are arising and ceasing. There is no self-independent entity. Everything comes into existence dependent on some cause and conditions. How mindful meditations educate the human awareness, bringing about individual and social transformations. How the social activism has been developed with the tool of mindfulness or satipaṭṭhāna, and how it has become one of the factors of our applied Buddhism. So there are some of the examples that through our mindfulness, one can transform the society also, psychological, by removing the psychological immoral states of mind. Then mindful meditations develop observing awareness related to metta, karuna, mudita, and apekha. We have seen that how this there is a relations between the compassion and mindfulness. Compassion or karuna is nothing, it is not a verbal sympathy, but how a consciousness arises to remove the suffering of others. Par hadaya kampanamti karuna, or kam iti dukkam, runati ti tam pavisati binasai bhayamati cha. By seeing the suffering of others, how a person can make an effort to remove the suffering of others. This is called as karuna. And this karuna, compassion, cannot be completed without the presence of mindfulness. This is the mindfulness. which is closely related with our karuna and other factors of Brahma Vihara, Metta, Karuna, and Mudita and Upekha. So these four are related with our mindfulness. Here all the kāyanupassanā, vedanānupassanā, cittānupassanā, and dhammānupasanā, all these four factors of Brahma Vihara can be related with our four foundations of mindfulness. So in that way, mindfulness enables a person to develop greater restraint, which lead to samadhi, and to develop greater freedom through emancipations, through right understanding of panya. We have seen that how the eightfold path, that sammaditthi, sammasankappo, sammavaca, sammakammanto, sammajiva, sammavyamo, sammasati, sammasamadhi. How the sammasati leads towards the samadhi, sammasamadhi. So based upon the sammasati, right mindfulness, there is the arising of right concentrations also. That is the Rup Samadhi and Arup Samadhi. And through the Rup Samadhi and Arup Samadhi, a person is able to know the nature of the reality through the right understanding or through the panya also. So mindfulness represents a fundamental constituent for the samatha and vipassana. For samatha and vipassana, mindfulness has become one of the main technique or tool for understanding all these things. So thank you very much for patiently hearing. I have taken much time. So I will be glad if some of the questions are put to me. I will be glad to answer those questions also. So thank you very much for patient hearing. There was something to be spoken, but time has been taken by me much. So thank you. With these words, I am very much thankful to our present Vice Chancellor, Professor Suvarlal Vajracharya, as well as our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Suvarlal Vajracharya, and Phanindraji, all the chief of the campuses of Lumbini Buddhist University, Venerable Bhikkhus, and all our Dhamma brothers and sisters. Thank you very much.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
ऑर्डर लोड नहीं हुआ है भैया, पूछ रहा था ऑर्डर तो बुधवार को लगा था 3 तारीख।
Phanindra sir, can you, Phanindra sir, please unmute your mic.
Phanindraji.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, so most respected professor, for a very insightful and very thought-provoking your discussion. You took references from Sutta literature and Abhidhamma literature, taking references from canonical text, commentaries, and sub-commentaries as well, and giving a very proper justice to the topic. And you touched all and every aspects of mindfulness, sati, which is very useful for our day-to-day life. So now if I would like to invite the participants for your questions, if you have any queries or questions to our respected presenter for today's session. So we'd like to welcome your questions now.
May I speak? My name is Dr. Inakshi Sengupta, and first of all, thank you, Professor Vimalendra Kumar, for inviting me. and I am really very happy to attend this. I have put a question in the chat. As you know, from my profile, you may have seen that I've worked in Afghanistan, I've worked in Iraq, and there is a sorry state of affair. And in one of the books of Thich he has mentioned that if mindfulness is taught to political leaders and to the people who, are diplomats, then maybe this world would be a better place to live. What would be your comments on this?
No, I do agree with your statement also. And Thich Nhat Hanh, first of all, asked his sub-brahmachari, that is the colleagues of his own monastery, to come out from the monastery and to work in the war, the people who have been killed or those who are in a state of suffering. They have to give their or they have to apply the medicines and other things to the wounds. So the duty of a monk is not to remain inside the monastery, but how the teachings of the Buddha, like metta, karuna, mudita, and upekha, how these can be applied in our. So those who are in the war is going on. The people who, the soldiers and the warriors who are in a distress, in the suffering, they can be given medicines and they can be given some help also. So later on, he also asked that how the political leaders who are in a mood of attacking to another country, how the psychological states, all the psychological states, even the war, the conflict which arises to harm others, and this the violence which arises in our mind also, it is due to our pramad also. Because of pramad, we are having so many conflicts in our mind also. And this violence, which is the main root of our war also, we are creating violence to another country. So how these pramad, that is the non-diligence, can be removed? So there is a, in Thich Nhat Hanh and even in Buddha also, teachings of the Buddha also, we are having that how this pramad can be removed. And if you see that how Buddha says in Dhammapada, pamado machno padam, appamado amatam padam. So how this pramad is the path of death also. So those who are having the conflict behavior, or those who are having the mind of violence or creating problems in the society, they are having idleness. How this psychological states can be removed. In India also, you might have heard that in the Tihar jail, the DG, the Director General of Police, DIG, Miss Kiran Bedi, who was in charge of that Tihar jail, and she applied vipassanā to the inmates of the Tihar jail also. And it was found that how the psychological states of those inmates of the Tihar jail were changed time to time. And there was a study and there was a statistical data also which are available. And Maharashtra government has also announced that any government employee who is interested for 10 days Vipassana course or 10 days anupassanā course, they can be given duty leave also. So that is the impact of that mindfulness, that how it is going to shape our body. You have asked that how the political leaders, nowadays, some of the political leaders in India, they are also having our meditation course also. They are going to 10 days Vipassana course or others also. there is a need of political leaders of other Southeast Asian countries or other states also. If they go, they understand the importance of our Anapan Smriti or mindfulness or vipassanā. Through this, a person can get a state of peace also. But the political leaders who do not have time, they do not have a time to remove the psychological immoral states of mind. How these psychological states of mind can be removed. So mindfulness is one of the techniques through which these psychological states of political leader can be changed also. And if they can apply it, that can be very helpful also. Recently, we have seen that how yoga, which has become international event by UNO, and now each country is holding 14th June as a International Yoga Day. And now every participants from each country, they are participating in that way. So there is a need of UNO also to declare this mindfulness, that is the Smriti course or 10 days, at least 1 day. Even in the Pali text, we are having that at least 7 days mindfulness course can be conducted for easing some. And there are some of the instances in our text also that persons who have some intelligent background or psychological good states of mind, they can get within a single day of mindfulness course of our reading. So in that way, there is a need that how political leaders of all over the globe can go through this 10 days vipassanā or at least 10 days mindfulness course can be applied. That can affect the change. That can change can be seen also. We can expect from this also. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you, sir, for your such nice lecture and presentation on role of mindfulness in solving problems of contemporary world. Now I am coming to my question, sir. Sir, during your lecture, you told about the 3 characteristics of existence, which have been mentioned in Dhammānupasanā Pali. That is, sabbe sankhara anichati, all conditioned things are impermanent, sabbe sankhara dukkhati, all conditioned things are suffering, and sabbe dhamma anattati, all phenomena are non-self. So, sir, my question is why it has been told that sabbe dhamma anatta, why it has not been told sabbe sankhara anatta? What is the basic difference between conditioned things and phenomena? And my second question is, sir, what is the meaning of non-self here? That is anatta. Thank you, sir.
What is the term? Last question. What is the term of anatta?
What is the meaning of non-self? That is anatta here in this gatha, sir.
So anatta, the main question is how sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, sabbe dhamma anatta. So why dhamma has been used here in the case of anatta? So here, whenever we are talking about the sankharas are, if you go through the Vidhamma tradition, we will find that sankharas are mental dispositions. And these mental dispositions, sankharas, are coming into existence dependent on ignorance of vidya. That is the this avidya is nothing but the not knowing the Four Noble Truth, not knowing the law of dependent origination, not knowing the past existence, present existence, and the future existence. But based upon the avidya, there is a incoming of, there is the arising of sankharas. And sankharas in Abhidhamma, they have been divided into three parts: punya visankhara, apunya visankhara, and ananja visankharas. Punya visankharas are 13, 8 kamavachar, 5 rupavachar, 13, and there are 12 apunya visankharas, and there are 4 types of arupavachar, ananja visankharas. So these are called as sankharas. In another way, sankharas are the resultant of moral and immoral actions done by a person in the past existence. And these are coming based upon the ignorance. So that is why it is called as, since they are the mental dispositions, they are the resultant of the moral and immoral actions done by a persons in the past existence. Coming to this our sabbe dhamma anatta, that is why they here sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, and sabbe dhamma. Here all things are subject to impermanence. So all are changing. The actions which are punya visankharas, apunya visankharas, and ananja visankharas, or the resultant of moral and immoral actions, they are subject to change. They are, since they are subject to change, they are subject to suffering also. Because whenever there is a anicca, there is a sense of suffering also. Coming to this sabbe dhamma anatta, that all dhammas or all states are subject to soulless. Here anatta is, Buddha is not in the sense of no soul, that is the no soul. But here Buddha says that if you go through the anatta paryaya Lakkhana Sutta of Mahavagga, it is said that the 5 aggregates, Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, Vijnana Khanda, these 5 are not self. Rupa Khanda, that is the aggregates of the form, they are not the self. It is not called as a that which belongs to any permanent entity. In the same way, Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, and Vijnana Khanda. So all here 5. If you see, man is a composition of 5 aggregates: Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, Vijnana Khanda. So all 5 aggregates have been put together. If you go through the Abhidhammic traditions, here Panchaskandhas are in the sense of chitta chetsika rupa dhammas. In another way, it is nam and rupa. So all whatever we are having our personality, it is made up of our 5 aggregates: Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, Vijnana Khanda. In that sense, it is called as sabbe dhamma anatta. That Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, and Vijnana Khanda, they are not the self. They are not I. They do not have I-ness. They are devoid of self. In that sense, they are called as sabbe dhamma anatta. All states are in the sense of Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, Vijnana Khanda. But in the case of our sabbe sankhara anicca, only the moral and immoral actions done by a person in the past existence, that is the vipaka. So here punya visankhara, apunya visankhara, and ananja visankhara, only 3 aspects have been taken together, not full of all. So in that sense, it is called as a sabbe sankhara anicca, that punya, apunya, and ananja visankhara. In that sense, it is called as a sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha. When we are talking about the Panchakhanda, Dwadas Ayatan, Atharas Dhatu, in that sense, it is called as sabbe dhamma anatta. Is it okay?
Now I got it, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Any another question if you have? Anyone?
Okay, it seems there are no more questions.
Okay, Farindraji,
Okay,
it is time
so,
very much. 12:20.
So finally,
Yes.
so I would like to request the present Vice Chancellor of Lumini Buddhist University, Professor Dr. Subbanalal Vajracharya, to give his concluding remarks and conclude the session.
Okay, thank you very much, Farinda sir. Actually, we are taxing very much to Professor Bimalendra Kumar, because he's speaking continuously 2 hours, and we can understand, we can see how depth knowledge he has in this subject matter. Frankly speaking, for me, it is at a very, very high level. I hardly can understand few out of the total lectures I'm listening, but it is really very good lecture, and we have very in-depth knowledge in this field, and we are benefited. Everybody might have been taken the benefit from it, and thank you very much. And what else I can say, that because we have the frankly speaking, we have nothing to compensate you for this.
Thank you very much.
For your effort, and but only I can give the thanks. I'm very much indebted. The work that you are doing for the success of the Lumini Buddhist University. I'm expecting the same, in a different field. Okay, thank you very much once again. You might be quite tired.
Thank you, sir.
It's very difficult to speak 2 hours continuously. And once again, I want to thank personally, as well as from the university, for your hard work and for this effort.
Thank you, sir.
I think you can leave now.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Namaskar.